I think first things first, it was awesome being back on the field and being back out here on Howard Jones, practicing, doing what you love to do. You know, you get hired, and it's a long process, you know, of putting the staff together, getting to know the current players, recruiting a recruiting class, and then that gets done. You're trying to implement your schemes as a staff to finally getting on the field and practicing with these guys. I thought was awesome today. It was a real blast for me. I really feel like the guys showed a great deal of energy and enthusiasm and want to in practice. And we got a lot of great work done. You know, it was by no means perfect, and there's plenty of stuff to work on and to learn from the tape and to get better at for Thursday. But all in all, it was awesome coming through Marv Googate. You know, it was the first time as head coach and coaching these guys. I had an absolute blast.
Steve, Cody said you guys ran about 120 plays in an hour and 45 minutes. How does that compare to what you were able to do when you first installed the up-tempo in Washington last year? What does it say about the potential of this system?
It was very similar. It was actually a very similar practice format. And you know, you put a plan together, and you never know exactly. You know, there could be bumps along the way through a first practice, but I thought our coaching staff won, and then the players really responded well to it, to the tempo within the drills, to the transition from drill to drill, and we finished right on time. I mean, we were done exactly when we needed to be done at 6 o'clock. We got a great deal of work done. I think there was only one period where we didn't hit our quota for the number of plays that we needed to get done in the time allotted. So all in all, it didn't feel like, to me, a first practice. And so that's a credit to our coaches and to the players for their ability to respond to the way practice was going to go. But that being said, there's plenty of room for improvement.
As you made the walk over from the office to this field for practice, what were some of the things that worked here?
It's a lot shorter walk than before. Quite honestly, that was one of the first things. I was actually down in the players' locker room and came up All-American walk, and you make a right turn and you're crossing the street. So didn't have a lot of time to reflect. I was just kind of getting focused to make sure that everybody was going to be in the right spot, and that we ran a really organized, disciplined practice.
Day one of quarterback competition, what do you see from each of the three guys?
Oh, I thought they both did some good stuff. They both had some moments where they'd love to have back. You know, quite honestly, we have to look at the film. You know, we're moving at a pretty fast clip out there, and you're trying to assess everything at once, and it's hard to do that. So we'll look at the film. There's plenty of stuff for both of them to learn from, and I know Coach Helton and myself are chomping at the bit to get up there and look at the film.
Coach, considering it is just day one, and I know you guys have some injuries, so not everyone can be out here practicing,
right.
But how much are you actually able to gauge from a practice like this?
Well, I gauged, our energy. I thought the guys really came out with a focus and an energy to want to come out and perform and want to compete and want to learn and want to get better. When it was time to focus on technique and fundamentals, they were intently focused on that. When it was time to really work the tempo on our fastball period, they were flying around doing that. So that, to me, was something I know I can walk off the field with saying, okay, they were in the right frame of mind to practice. Now, were we perfect alignment-wise? No. Assignment-wise? No. Technique? No. There's moments when we did some really good stuff, and there's moments when we weren't great. And so that's our job now in the next 48 hours is to get that stuff fixed.
Coach, can you talk about your relationship with Coach Marcus Tuiasosopo and how you guys communicate without sometimes even expressing words?
Well, it goes back quite a ways. You know, people might not know this. I coached Marcus with the Oakland Raiders. Actually, coached T. Martin at that time too with the Oakland Raiders. So we go back a long ways. Marcus was with us early on in the process at the University of Washington. Was with us for a couple of years there. Took a hiatus to another school, and then brought him back last year again, and now he's here with us here. So I think he just really understands the things that I'm looking for at certain times and in certain scenarios, and that's why not that I want to be surrounded by a bunch of guys that tell me what I want to hear, but it is comforting to know that you have people on your staff that understand the way you're thinking and can anticipate things that are coming, whether it's within a practice or within a game or even up in the office, quite honestly, that can be proactive in helping you through whatever those processes are. And Marcus is one of those guys.
From a teaching standpoint, how does it compare when instructing after each rep compared to a couple reps at a time and then instructing that way?
Much different, much different. That's a great question. If you notice, we don't have time to critique our players in between plays because of the tempo that we're operating at, and that's designed that way. That's why you see those walkthrough periods in the middle of practice that I think most people traditionally do before practice. They do their walkthroughs. We actually break ours up into 3 separate segments within practice, and we call them teach periods. And so we take those times within practice to try to fix some of the errors that we saw within some of the team periods. And then ultimately we get up and we look at the film, and then we teach off the film. So it's definitely a different way of teaching. But I think it is a way that grabs the players' attention and that they respond to really well.
Steve, the center spot, do you feel like that's Max's focus, or is that going to be evaluated?
Well, I think Max is a really bright young man, and for day one, we didn't snap any over the quarterback's head, so knock on wood, and there were no grounders. So that was the first thing I was concerned about coming out today. So all in all, there's a long way to go. We played in underwear today and in helmets, so there's a lot of work to be done. Max is a very talented player. He's very bright. He could probably play 3 different positions on the offensive line. We'll have to see how we evolve up front, quite honestly. We'll see, Toa Lobendon's a young player that's developing. At some point, we'll get Andre Walker back. At some point, Zach Banner, who gave us a lot of reps today, will be there even more. At some point, Jordan Simmons is going to be there. So we're going to have some versatility on this front, but it is comforting to know that you have an experienced player at center. When you're operating at this pace and at this tempo, you have an experienced player that can manage things up front.
You recruited a lot of these guys in high school. What's it like to now be on the field coaching them?
I'm having a blast coaching them. A lot of these guys I developed really good relationships with over the recruiting process. Hayes Pilar, Josh Shaws, Kevon Seymours of the world, Cody Kessler, Max Brown. So many of these guys I know really well, and it's fun to be with them and not against them. Didn't like them hitting our guys the way they were hitting them a couple of those games. But all in all, these are highly competitive individuals, and that's why we recruited them in the first place. And it showed today. We pride ourselves in running from drill to drill, and if you're walking, you're wrong. And number 10 on defense was the first guy to every drill. And I think that shows that senior leadership that you want from your middle linebacker, that we challenged him on running from drill to drill, and he set the tone for what that was going to be in the tempo and urgency in which you have to do it. So there were little things like that I really appreciated in the first practice out there.
Can you talk about your receivers, just George and Steven, who were injured last year when you saw out of them?
Well, we got stuff out of them. We weren't trying to get them all the way back in one practice today. This is going to be a process for those 2 guys working their way back in. There's going to be some natural hesitation there as you're working through a knee injury, and some of the focus that would normally be on the ball might be on your knee and stability. But all in all, I thought they really showed some nice signs. I think they both got bright futures. We're just going to gradually work them back into this thing and monitor all their reps all the way through, because the goal is for them to be 100% healthy come August. That's the real key. We want to develop their fundamentals and techniques now, get them a real understanding of our schemes, but make sure they're healthy when August rolls around.
Leonard Williams was.
Well, I think all 3 of those guys have a nice feel for running the football. Again, we were in helmets and T-shirts and shorts, but I thought Buck, Ty, Trey all had a nice feel for running the ball and understanding of it. We tried to get Justin as much walkthrough work as we could, because obviously on film his running style is maybe a little bit different than those 3 guys. And at some point here, Soma's going to get a few carries. We know what he can do as well. So it's a nice group of guys. They're all very bright, which is probably the biggest thing I was impressed with. When it came to pass protection and alignment and assignment, I thought all of them performed very well that way today.
Leonard Williams and Josh Shaw were limited.
Yeah, they were. Leonard, we cleaned up his shoulder right after the bowl game, so he'll be limited all spring long. And Josh has got a bit of a stress fracture in his foot that we just want to get 100% healthy. I don't want that thing lingering all summer long. So, again, those are precautionary deals. They're both very talented players. They'll be 100% healthy to go when August rolls around.
Thanks. You made a decision on where